The day before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he sent a private message to one of his loudest critics, CNN commentator Van Jones. And what he said might completely change how you see their feud in his final days. This was not a public tweet, not a debate clip, but a private message inviting Jones to have what Kirk called a respectful conversation about crime and race. And then, just hours later, Kirk was gone. Murdered, assassinated. Was this Kirk's final attempt at reconciliation? Or was it just the beginning of a conversation that will never be had? Let's break this down. For those who might not know, Charlie Kirk was more than just a commentator. He was a founder of Turning Point USA, a conservative grassroots movement that became a cultural force on college campuses and online. Kirk built a reputation as a fiery speaker, often clashing with liberal commentators, student activists, and even mainstream media. He was loved by his supporters and equally criticized by his opponents. But in early September 2025, everything changed. During a speaking engagement, Kirk was fatally shot, a killing that sent shockwaves across the country and triggered heated debates about political violence. Investigators quickly labeled it an assassination, and in the days that followed, the nation's political landscape grew even more divided. Right-wing commentators called it an attack on free speech. Left-leaning outlets urged caution, called for the facts to come out before drawing conclusions. But while the world was reacting in real time, something else was happening quietly, behind the scenes, a private exchange between Kirk and Van Jones, one that wouldn't be revealed until days later.
Hey Van, I mean it. I'd love to have you on my show to have a respectful conversation about crime and race. I would be a gentleman, as I know you would be as well. We can disagree about the issues agreeably.
Jones says that on the day before the assassination, Kirk reached out to him personally, not to argue, but to invite him to talk, respectfully, privately, about crime, race, and the issues they so often fought about publicly.
And Van Jones. The story begins when a Ukrainian woman was fatally stabbed last month in North Carolina. The suspect is a black man, and Charlie Kirk and Van got into a public sparring match online. Kirk claimed the murder happened because she was white. Van denounced that as completely unfounded. Kirk then sent out what Van calls a fire hose of tweets challenging his argument, which Van says sparked death threats against him. In the midst of all of this, Kirk reached out to Van in a direct message on X.
Coming from a man known for public confrontation and viral sound bites, the message took Jones by surprise. And now, with Kirk gone, the world is left to wonder, what would have happened if that conversation actually took place? In the next part of this video, we'll dig deeper into what that message said, the conflict that led up to it, and the explosive reaction when Van Jones went public with Kirk's final words. Days after the assassination, as tributes and outrage flooded social media, Van Jones took to X, revealing a private direct message from Charlie Kirk that very few people knew about. Jones wrote, "The day before he was horrifically murdered, Charlie Kirk sent me a message asking if I would join him for a respectful conversation about crime and race." In the message, Kirk extended what many saw as an olive branch, a rare invitation to engage in dialogue, not debate. It wasn't a tweet designed to go viral. It wasn't a public dunk. It was a private outreach.
And coming just one day before Kirk's life was cut short, it hit Jones hard.
In his own words, Jones said he was shocked, calling the message a rare opportunity to turn confrontation into collaboration. But this revelation wasn't just about two men. It opened a new chapter in the conversation about polarization, civility, and what it means to find common ground in a deeply divided country. Here's why this message was so surprising. Just days earlier, Kirk and Jones were publicly clashing over one of the most sensitive topics in America, race and violent crime. Jones had criticized Kirk's comments about the killing of a Ukrainian refugee, accusing him of stoking division and using race as a political weapon. Kirk, in turn, doubled down on his remarks, calling out what he saw as hypocrisy in media coverage. So imagine the shock when, instead of firing back with another tweet, Kirk chose to privately invite Jones to talk, not in front of cameras, not in a hostile debate stage, but in what he described as a respectful conversation. This was a side of Kirk that few people got to see. And now, it has become one of the final glimpses we have into what may have been going through his mind before the assassination. But the reveal didn't end the debate, it only intensified it. Some praised Kirk for reaching across the aisle. Others accused Jones of using the message to rewrite history, claiming he was too harsh on Kirk while he was alive. It's a story filled with irony, tragedy, and unfinished business, one that forces us to ask, what would that conversation have sounded like? And what does it say about the state of our political culture that this conversation will now never take place? Van Jones' reveal didn't just make headlines, it lit up the internet. Supporters of Charlie Kirk saw the message as proof that, in his final hours, he wanted to heal divisions and bring people together. Many said this shows a different side of the man, a side often ignored in the media. But not everyone was convinced. Critics argued that Jones' decision to share the message just days after Kirk's death risked politicizing tragedy, or even rewriting the narrative around their feud. Conservative commentator Megyn Kelly even accused Jones of hypocrisy, reminding viewers that Jones had recently called Kirk's rhetoric dangerous. Still, others praised Jones for doing exactly what Kirk asked, sharing the message, encouraging conversation, and modeling what respectful engagement could look like, even across deep political divides. And this is where the story shifts from a private message to a national debate. Charlie Kirk was no stranger to controversy. Whether you admired him or despised him, he was a symbol of the cultural battles shaping America. But this message, sent quietly to a political rival, leaves behind an unexpected legacy. It forces us to think, are we really listening to each other? Or are we just waiting for the next viral soundbite, the next fight, the next win for our side? Kirk's assassination is a tragedy, not just because of the life lost, but because it silenced a conversation that could have been transformative, one where two ideological opposites might have found common ground, even if just for a moment. Van Jones himself admitted that he didn't expect such an invitation, and that he had been harsh on Kirk in past. But his decision to share the message suggests he wanted to honor that olive branch, to show that dialogue is still possible.
And what was he doing? Dialogue? Let's be gentlemen together? He says, let's disagree agreeably.
And maybe that's the part of the story we can all learn from, that sometimes the conversation you refuse to have today might be the one you wish you could have tomorrow. So what do you think? Was this Charlie Kirk's way of trying to make peace? Or just a final headline that's being overblown after his death? If that conversation had happened, would it have changed anything? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think we need more conversations like this? Or is it too late for dialogue in today's political climate?